Alright, so let's talk about whether it's better to be a jack of all trades or a master of one. Now, I should probably say that I actually hate that phrase and I think it's quite ridiculous, but we'll get into that later on. But for the time being, we'll entertain the idea of it just for the sake of discussion. So for those of you that don't know, a jack of all trades is essentially someone that's probably quite good at lots of different things, but is not a master or an expert at one specific skill set. And a master of one is, of course, someone that spent all their time learning one particular skill, so they're very good at it, but maybe they don't have so much range as the next person. This is something that I know that a bunch of creatives struggle with, especially in the Blender community, because with Blender, for example, there are so many individual subjects that you can learn about with the software, and I know that lots of people learning Blender like to try their hands at lots of different things, but might not spend enough time learning one particular element of the creation process. But like many of the things that we talk about in these discussion videos, it completely depends on the individual. More specifically, it depends on their life direction and goals. For example, lots of people know exactly what kind of career they want to go into. And some of these careers may be hyper-focused and extremely competitive, and in that situation, of course, it's a better idea to focus on that specific skill set that's going to get you there and going to maximize your chances of success in the future. On the other hand, there's lots of people that don't really think that far ahead, like myself, who instead submit to the idea that life is inherently unpredictable and the situations, the industries, the jobs that are available will change quickly over time. So it's always this measure up between, should I focus more on doing things that I'm interested in, or should I focus more on doing things that I'm slightly interested in but will give me more stability in the long term? So the question is either of these particular approaches better than the other in any way? And of course, no, not really, because it's situational, but I do think I'm biased towards one way than the other. If you are only focused on one specific skill and you are very good at it, it does make you ridiculously expendable. This is particularly the case if you're in an industry that's subject to fast-paced change, like creative technical industries, game development, software development, visual effects, stuff like that. Or alternatively, industries that are subject to an increase in automation, because we know that there's a positive trend in the implementation of automation, especially in things like manufacturing industries. The world of work is changing faster than ever, and probably more in the last few months than it ever has, thanks to some obvious reasons, as in the catalyst that is the current global situation. I think that if you're in particularly creative technical fields, it's probably good to have your hands in multiple things, but this is quite often a requirement anyway, even if it's not explicitly stated. For example, if you're an expert at hard surface modeling, you already know a range of different skills related to modeling and content creation anyway. So say that hard surface modeling as a job became unavailable to you, you could always take a step back and try a different specific type of modeling. And if modeling overall is not available to you, you can take another step back and try lighting, rigging, for example. So what I'm trying to say about this is that despite the fact that creative technical fields are subject to fast-paced changes, the sub-fields inside of these are often quite well interlinked and related to other fields. But I think this is the case because, of course, due to the fact that there's so much fast-paced development in creative technical industries, there's lots and lots and lots of different small fields that people can study and be interested in. I think this is largely not the case for older industries and those that are subject to slow change. So what do you do if you spend your whole life learning one particular skill set for an industry that you think could be easily automated in the next 5 to 10 years? Well, there's so many learning resources available online, and it's never too late to go back into some form of education to pick up new skills. New types of work are becoming available as old types of work are becoming redundant. You just need to know where to look, to keep your eye out, and what sort of communities to engage in to pick up the appropriate knowledge to be able to interact with those new industries. And it's understandable that this line of thought can make people prone to high levels of anxiety, especially if the future is very uncertain, which, given the current situation, yeah, that's understandable. But say, for example, you've just come out of school and you don't know what line of work you want to go down. Maybe you're looking for an apprenticeship in something. Maybe you want to try and get in. You worry that maybe you require some type of specific degree or work experience, and that to get these, you must be like a focused expert in one particular field, but you're interested in a range of things. That's a common worry. That's something I've definitely dealt with in the past. But one thing I will say is that while it's good to have an expertise in one particular field, you definitely don't want to push yourself into a corner where you'll become redundant in the next 10 years. So my advice would be try everything, but spend more time on one or two particular fields to get you the most excited than anything else. And always, always, always think about how the skills that you pick up for those fields can interact with other potential subjects. You may be interested in watching one of my older videos, which is about avoiding creative blocks and staying inspired, because we do talk about clever ways to learn things to encourage more creativity and create links between different subjects. But I feel like we've been quite diplomatic with this discussion so far. I want to make this slightly more opinionated now because it's something that I do feel quite strongly about. But instead of asking the question which is better, being A or being B, I think we should be asking, can you be a jack of all trades and a master of some? And for me, the answer is an obvious yes. I've been lucky enough to know many people in this community with a wide range of both creative and technical skills who know how to synergize them in creative new ways and who are undoubtedly experts in multiple fields. Some people think that if you're good at many things, then you can never be an expert in any one particular field. They are wrong. It's just something people tell themselves to make them feel better for never investing any time in learning new skills and for never leaving their comfort zone. You can be an expert in multiple different fields if you're clever with how you learn things, if you're good with your time management, and if you always try to synergize new ideas in creative ways. But of course, some things come more naturally to some people than others, and there are definitely ways to maximize your learning over time. But this is where personality-dependent variables come in, because some people do really well in institutionalized education, whereas some people don't do well in that kind of environment and instead thrive in self-taught environments. Personally, I like to try absolutely everything. I'm not sure if I'm an expert in any particular field because, from my perspective, everything that I try, there's always more to learn, and there's always more that I want to do, so I'm never worried about running out of ideas or new things to learn. I'm just riding the way through life because I know that it's inherently unpredictable, and I'm in a line of work that's especially unpredictable and subject to very fast change. But I've made sure to invest time in both creative and technical skills. So if I wanted, I could take an artistic route through life, or alternatively, I could take a more technical or academic route through life. But at the end of the day, it's entirely up to you. Okay, now we're coming to the end. We're going to take a moment to talk about the sponsor for this video, which is Sketchfab. You may already know Sketchfab for providing the best 3D model viewer for the web, but you might not know that they actually have an online store for buying and selling 3D models. You can use the built-in model inspector to preview the geometry of the mesh, along with all the textures so you know exactly what you're getting. There's a wide variety of content available and a good number of dedicated artists providing high-quality content. If you're interested in maybe selling your own models on the store, then you can also consider applying to become a seller. So thank you for sponsoring this video, Sketchfab, and thanks to all of you for watching. Hopefully you found this video either interesting or helpful. If you have your own thoughts on the subject, then make sure to leave them down in the comments to continue the discussion. Make sure to follow me on all the platforms to keep up to date with content. Otherwise, I hope you're doing well, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.